I just wanted to share kind of the shakiness inside as I acknowledge yet another tragedy in the Black community with Tyree Nichols. And it's just here with me. And I want to invite anyone who has um, a need to contact me. I'll put my email in the chat. I facilitate white spaces, anti-racism, focusing oriented communities. Um, and I'm always looking to develop that. And that's all I wanted to say.
Really, thank you very much. Let's just give a pause to that.
Lynn, I'm aware that some folks in other countries might not know about that situation.
Bailey, maybe you want to say a little bit more so that people will be aware, everybody here, of what we're pausing about.
Sure. Just within the week or so, another killing by police of a Black man. It's all too familiar. And there's a lot of history with that, obviously. I guess the other part of that is, for me, I teach adults in prison, and yesterday was the class, and I'd say 98%, as you can imagine, of the students are of color. And we were talking about that, the history of violence and racism, and I wanted to bring in some space for pausing to see if anyone felt a need to share. And there were some very profound things that were said. In the midst of it, I wasn't surprised by one of the white students who raised his hand and asked a question about when the next homework assignment was. And it just represented for me how easy it is for me to disconnect from the violence that people of color live with. And so in this space, and because I see some white faces and your focusers, I wanted to call attention to that.
Okay.
I'd
Don't-
like to offer a reflection.
Yes.
Could I offer a reflection?
Yes, please, PJ.
So Bailey, I'm especially moved my body at hearing just your cadence and the pause as you speak that really helps to deepen my understanding about mourning and the beauty and the power of mourning for injustice of all kinds, and especially your relationship with the people that are in prison at this moment. That my heart just, or maybe I should say something just lifts me up in my chair and sort of sends my life energy to you in that endeavor. It is just so beautiful to see the depth of your commitment to anti-racism, and not just Blacks, but Native Americans as well, others, anyone who is an other.
It's just loaded with feeling that
Yes.
it's deflected and detoured and doesn't really have a direction in my mind. Well, so, but anyway, I'm just happy to know that she's doing that. It's great.
And Darlene, when you said it's loaded with feeling,
Yeah,
so much feeling,
yeah. It's just really
right to that place.
want to scream somehow.
And I think, Bailey, that when you shared what you did, the us, the whole screen of us, there was a lot of feeling and desire to join, to do something, to acknowledge it.
The experience I had when first working with the indigenous Mayan groups during the Civil War and saying, I'm neutral, and they accepted it. And 3 months later, they said, are you still mutual and neutral? And but I had been with them in the us. I had shared with them. It wasn't injustice was done, which was in my head, but it was the inner experience that I could maintain my position, but I was not neutral.
Right.
A sense of violence done to any other human being is
And
wrong.
feels to you like that's all here with us right now.
Me,
right.
that's all here with us, each one experiencing in a different way because we're unique, but it's wrong to do violence to another human being and to know what that feels like, having been with it with other people and having been violated too.
What came to me was the word, when you asked about the felt sense of all that has been happening, is the word contact. And Jean uses this word at the beginning of one of the articles that you sent, and I believe that this is such an important thing, because what Bailey shared, if we all had real contact with other people and we really saw people really, we wouldn't do violence on them. So that is why I believe this is so pertinent to our what we are doing here, what we are wanting to do, what we are wanting to create and bring forward in the world, because that is the root. The violence comes from objectivizing, from not seeing others as they are in their essence. So contact.
There's a feeling of us contacting not only Bailey, but contact what Bailey is contacting, right? This larger system. And maybe we could say, we are all systems, and we have systems within us. There are many systems within us, and each of us go out to this particular us that we have now to broader and broader systems, and we're in contact with Bailey, and then with our own inner systems, and then and Bailey brought in this larger system of social political connectedness that we're in touch with.
Lynn and Stephen too brought in the system of the group that he was working with by sharing that memory with us. And for me, in my body, I felt like a vortex. The violence in me was like a vortex, just sucking us all down. And a part that I have to sit with.
I think for me, the word vulnerability kind of captures the feel like, oh, we're entering territory and there isn't the content, there isn't a structure. It's very much trying to sense the present moment and how that is for me and all of you.
For me, the interaction is something like trying to connect or trying to get closer to each other. I would name it like that. the quality of the interaction for me is like that in this group.
So listening to Bailey and everyone within the group, um, you know, when Bailey first started sharing and there was a response, I was with it and I was kind of sinking into my feelings and my response. And then there was another kind of expressed response. And then there was something forming in me that I wanted to express. You know, I wanted to say something and express something. And I stayed with it, and it was fine to be with it.
I'm just taking a breath so I can come and be with you, Bailey. And I'm trying to sort of make a space here for us, just for 10 minutes or so, where I'm not paying attention to all the rest of the us, and all that's gone before this, but just really being open to us being together and to seeing what our interaction will be.
Thank you for that. I'm noticing my heart racing a bit. And also your kindness is kind of wrapping around my beating heart.
What a beautiful image. My kindness wrapping around your beating heart. And I also have this feeling of, oh, I don't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We don't know what to expect here.
And with that, there's something really vitally palpable and appreciated in me. Yeah, I really am inviting that emergent, organic exchange with you.
I feel you inviting it.
And I'm negotiating my the threads of the tangled mess inside.
You're negotiating that tangled mess.
Yeah. Giving space in that negotiation to see what comes, what wants to come. There's some tears. And see if I have a Kleenex in my pocket. Yeah. What feels surfacing, arising from that is and a hope and invitation and kind of an expectancy within focusing settings, to bring forward the work that white people need to do.
There's tears and a kind of hopeful expectation of this work that's so important to you.
Yeah, I want it to be important to all white people.
Yes, yes. It's important to you, and you want it to be important to all white people. You want to communicate it in such a way that all white people will feel it, will live it, will be awakened, I'm trying to find.
Mm-hmm. Will feel moved to explore.
Will feel moved to explore.
The work of anti-racism for white people.
Yeah. Will feel moved to explore the work, and work has a big meaning for you, right? It's not a little with a small w, it's with a capital W. The work.
It does have a capital W, but it's pointed to coming together in white communities to support each other, grapple, and focus, so that we can make room to go deeper, to be activist or not, but the focusing community is so ripe for coming together in a way that slows the process to digest what we sit with, what I sit with, but not alone, but in community.
Wow, you said a lot there.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I meant that like, wow. But it sounded like I was saying you said too much. Let me say it back, because I think I got all of that. That it's a capital W, but it's very specific, this work that you want us to do. Us meaning the white focusing world. And it's about coming together in a focusing way so that we could digest what's very hard to digest and support each other. And I'm adding in here, but I think it's implicit, to support each other, not to be defensive, not to go into shame, not to ignore it, not to all of those other things that focusing can help us not to have to do those things, and to enter a process where we feel empowered to maybe be activists or be something, be
more awakened.
Be more awakened. Be able to stand being awakened, be able to stand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I said be able to stand it, you were trying that out to see, is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, it is. It's building that capacity
Mm.
to grow in what it means to be anti-racist for white folks.
Mm. Mm. To grow in capacity to be anti-racist,
Yeah.
to know. What I get from that is not just to know what somebody says about it or something, to do the right thing or something, but to grow in capacity to know deeper and deeper what that actually means, what it means.
What it, yeah, what it means and how it moves through our bodies
Mm.
and where it gets stuck
Mm-hmm.
in our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And the work, I think, for me is so much more powerful in community.
Mm. That we can do that so much better in community, to let it go through our bodies and see where it gets stuck.
Mm-hmm.
To digest it too. Yeah. And again, this word anti-racist has a big meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Jean would say, I love this phrase about all terms. And what would you want that word to mean? Just in your body in this moment. It means lots of things, but just right now in this moment that you want us to be.
Courageous enough to be vulnerable. Yeah, okay, here it is, Lynn.
Can I hear this?
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna try to say it. Courageous enough to be vulnerable, to recognize the ways in which white folks, myself, can so much more easily move in the world. And do something about it.
Yes, 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 yes.
Not just do something, not do just something. Do something that changes your life.
That's a big calling, right? That we could be vulnerable to really experience, really feel, really embody that knowledge that it's so much easier for white people to move in the world, so that it changes us and we're not just doing something. It changes our lives. That's what you're calling us to, a big thing. And you want to know if I can hear it. Is it welcome, right? Is it welcome, that big thing?
Yeah. And I welcome any micro ways that's internalized.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Not just for me, but for the community.
Yes. And you're welcoming all the other stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bailey.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want you to know, I feel like this little bit of listening did change my life. This moment, you know, and Jane talks about these steps, right? It feels like it changed my life in this moment.
I want you to know that that feels like hands opening up, that hearts in my hands are opening up. Thank you.
Okay. Let's take a breath and we have just 10 minutes and I would love to hear what came for you in that listening, both about, you know, what we were saying, but maybe right now more about the process and your process, how it felt for you. And I'd love to hear from people who haven't spoken yet.
But what is the mission of this? And then Bailey said something like it's to understand, for people to understand that there's a difference in how I can walk in the world and how others can't. They don't have that ability or that freedom. That for me just captured, you know, the essence, I guess, of another movement, like a movement somehow. It felt like you got to something that really was so important.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I just, you know, wanted to,
Like the crux of something.
yeah, I wanted to thank you both.
Very powerful that I noticed that today, I must admit, I feel far, far away. So when you were listening to Bailey, it was the first time today that I felt listened to. In a way that it was like, in a way, like sharing what Focuser is sharing, and also in a way like being listened. She, like Bailey, was listened to, like I was playing a role game, once becoming more Bailey and once becoming more you, Liz. And this was really like, there is this slowness in me, like something beautifully cooked, like in a something with a smooth consistency. Yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
The first time that you felt listened to, like this listening was really happening, rather than our talking about it or trying to get to it, that it was happening. And that was a wonderful image of the cooked. And since we are one interaction, when someone else is listened to, you're listened to, your inner one felt listened to. Yes, me too. I felt listened to.
And I'm on another continent, And though this is a fact that I'm on another continent and the people in my society and environment are multicultural, but not blacks, neighbors, and from Caribbean and, you know, black-skinned people. Although this is so, I could feel through you opening to us a felt sense of solidarity, which sounds very abstract, but I could recognize myself in your pain, being a witness of people around you, you work with, who keep shut up and don't dare to face their own human vulnerability, and how painful that is and how hard to bear. So in this, I really connected, and I'm sending you solidarity from here, and I have a little bit wet in my eyes. So it's a physical, bodily responding with that. Yeah, so hello, Belly.
Yeah, so that process just felt like a leaf slowly floating deeper down into depths of kind of vulnerability for me. And it flowed really nicely to the point that I wasn't paying attention necessarily to the process of the words, because it was just felt just like a soft, gentle movement. And it brought tears. So I was crying, I was feeling very vulnerable, and I recognized the depth and layers of grief that was there for me and that was really coming up. So there was really something that the process brought in me about vulnerability and courage. So at one point I turned my video on when I was crying, because there was something about you modeling courage that felt, can I be seen in my vulnerability?